These are like quite, you know, close quarter situations that you're gonna run into a lot in technical riding. There's a lot of, I think, real important intricacies that go into working your way through technical stuff like this. And it doesn't even really need to be like this section. Truthfully, just getting to it, the appropriate approach in all of this stuff. Some things can be very simple and it can make a huge difference in your riding. And just how much energy you're expending in these situations. The hardest part about technical stuff is you know, when you get tired, you always try to kind of look for the easy way. And if you can just take like the extra seconds to run the bike deep or aim with your rear tire and really focus on placement in all of these situations, it ends up saving you time and energy in the long run, right? Of an off camber, it's crooked. This is essentially a side hill. I'm sure as it gets slicker, your rear tire is going to want to drop. There's a couple of lines that you can take. The key thing that I would focus on in these situations is first, you know, let's say the trail, obviously the trail goes here and then it turns to the left and goes up this direction. So my first focus is going to be, where do I put myself in this corner to help me the most? Okay, so I think a lot of riders are probably running here. And as you can see, even here, I'm on a side hill, I'm waiting outside peg. The whole time, whenever you're side hilling, you're waiting an outside peg, moving the bike away, pressing through. And we have a little bit of a gap here. Now, commonly what I see riders do is, again, you're probably fatigued in this situation, so you try to make it, kind of get it over with. A lot of guys are gonna just turn in sharp and early. And what ends up happening, especially because there's a little bit of a rock here, what ends up happening is when you turn in, you can see my tire starts to run into this inside rock, and I almost can't make this sharp of a turn. So you probably get to here and work your way over. Something that I do in every switchback style of situation like this, when I know I need to go this direction, is I run the bike deep. So I'm aiming with my rear tire here. It makes my life so much easier to, in fact, go all the way to here. Getting my rear tire into the actual line is gonna assist me so much. And the steeper the switchback, the more important that becomes. The deeper I get it here, what do I use? Steady throttle, steady clutch, low RPM, suspension, compression, rebound, and literally just a slight pull over with my right leg. And now I'm in the line. I've ran the bike deep, I'm not running into the inside, I'm not spinning, I'm not fighting. Running it here and working it over is 10 times easier than trying to make the turn. The sharper the switchback, the more you need to focus on aiming with your rear tire. Now the other piece here is now we have a ledge in front of us. So obviously I want to get a run into this ledge, have some good you know, momentum. And again, I aim with my rear tire. So no matter what, I want to get my rear tire all the way up to that flat spot. I don't want to aim with my front. Commonly, and I'm going to show you guys the mistake here. I'm going to do it the common way that I would see. Commonly, we see riders aim with their front tire. They think they've made it when the front tire is up. There's a rock in front of my front tire, and my rear tire is still off the trail. So if you aim with your front tire, if you think you've made it just by putting your front here, you're probably wrong. Now this is a pretty sweet IRC tire. I'm still at a disadvantage. I have a rock in front of this, and a rock in front of my rear tire, and a rock in front of my front tire. So it's hindering me that much. So now, if I focus on aiming with my rear tire, I'm gonna get my rear all the way to here. And I don't care where my front goes. I'm keeping the front light the whole time. Okay, so let me show you. In this situation too, I would see that there's this rock in front of me. I've got a little bit of space here behind. So I would just find that little bit of space that I allow to get quick on, off, out, in, to get the bike to just come up and over that little bit of a ledge and miss that rock in front of me. Now here, and again, I'm gonna come back to this, but here, you can do a unstuck technique. Hit that, drive the weight forward, release the bike. Right? Same movement there that we just practiced over and over and over. On, off, out, in. Increase the load, drive the weight forward, then release the clutch, let the bike come out from under. I went right over that little stump. Running with speed. Now I'm gonna aim a little bit. If I keep the power on through that, like, again, it's almost like you're, in a lot of these situations, if I just see it the first time, I'm just gonna go kind of fast. I'm gonna run a little more momentum, and I'm gonna really focus on getting as deep as I can, like aiming up here. You guys saw how much less work I had if I just go straight up the whole thing. Get this deep and then work it over. But the whole time, my focus is on a steady feed of clutch and throttle to maintain that low RPM. And every one of those little moves where you're working your bike from left to right is exactly the same as working it in a safe situation up on the hill over there, like doing the clutch control drills that we did in the morning. The little moves to get your bike through this stuff. I mean, if you ride it like that, you're putting all the weight on the rear tire, right? And it's going to be way easier to get through without spinning, right?
Pretty damn good.
You can see how much easier it is if you're not picking your way. I came in a little hotter. I kept my feet on the pegs. I'm just gonna focus on trying to keep that bike moving. But the reason I'm doing it, or the reason I was trying to demo it the other way, is that's what you're gonna run into a lot. Like again, if I was in a race and I came around the corner, that's probably how I would hit that. I would maintain momentum. I'd place my front tire, as you can see, I placed my front tire on that first ledge. I actually used the rock that you're standing on to your left.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
To just help my front tire loft a little bit so I don't have to put so much power down. Place my front tire on the first ledge, and then I drive forward, basically do a double blip, and then hold steady RPM clutch all the way through the rest of the way. That's how I would approach it most likely in a race. But there are situations where the focus should just be get as deep as you can. Aim with your rear tire. Get your bike as far up as you can. Then use your unstuck technique, on, off, out, in, to work your way up things like this. The little pieces of what we did, the holding the bike in one position, steady throttle, steady clutch, making sure that your bike doesn't roll back, it's so key for your progression. So what I mean by that is, like, if I get halfway up this, I then use steady throttle, steady clutch, just like we practiced on the hillside, to hold my bike in that position. I don't really use brakes because, you know, my right foot may need to be on the ground. I don't have my rear. The front brake really doesn't do anything on the incline. So I'm using steady feet of throttle and clutch, just like rolling back and forth on that incline that we did in the morning. I'm using that hold in that situation to set up for the next move. And then I just continually do that over and over. So I want to show one last example here, and then I have a couple drills for you guys that we will practice over on that evening. Also, if you notice on the downhill, like, I'm always above the bike. I just stay standing the whole time. I never sit. Obviously, I got a place to put my foot, but a huge thing about downhills is balance. If you need good balance in downhills, I'll tell you right now, a downhill cone weave is a good thing to practice. You're gonna learn how to hold, control, and traction. Yeah, what's that?
You do it around that, yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
So one more time here. Low. This time I'm not gonna make a big move. Every time we're using steady feet, a throttle and clutch, just like we practiced in the hill. I'm going to roll back as far as I can, double check my run in, use the unstuck technique. Right into steady feet of throttle and clutch. Low RPM, switch speed. Reset up. I might use that same lock back. Rear brake, hold it. Rear brake, hold it. Rear brake, hold it. Getting myself pulled back so I have plenty of run in here for this next step. Push back, stand up on the leg, drive the weight, and release. It is steady feet of throttle and clutch, just like we practiced on the hill. The unstuck technique, a little bit of on, off, out, in, a little bit of the double blip, a little bit of balance, all of that stuff together. That's what you're using in these situations to pick your way through. Does that make sense, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
That's why what we've been practicing is so key.